Taj.
It's all fixed. It's back. It's Taj's fault. So I mean, we're not blaming Taj. We're actually pointing out the fact that it's literally his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Literally his fault.
Literally.
Literally. Alrighty. Let's see here. Let's make this visible with Joe in the scene here. There we go. So Joseph, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right.
How
are you doing?
I'm good. Tired, but you know.
But you're getting older. Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
That's how it is. I'm just tired too. Wake up tired. I love. I have one of those sleep pads. Sleep pads. I have a sleep tracker pad under my bed, and especially the past few weeks, it's been like, because it scores you out of 100. It'd be like, yeah, you got like 90 out of 100. And it's like, oh, cool, time to went to sleep. Good. The amount of sleep that you got, 8.5 hours. That's awesome. And it's like the depth of your sleep, bad. Which measures like the amount of light sleep, REM sleep, and then deep sleep that you get. And it's like, I just don't get deep sleep. It's like all light sleep. Yep. I mean, I dip into it here and there, and I dip into REM sleep as well. But it's just like, the quality of your sleep is just bad. It literally says bad.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Piss poor.
I actually got pretty good sleep last night. I wonder what it says. Anyway, what's your... I know I'm going off on a tangent already.
It's all right. Juicy story to talk about.
I'm ready for the juice.
Okay. So, have you heard that it's not even a theory at this point, but have you heard that Ridley Scott believes that Blade Runner and Alien franchise are in the same universe?
Yes, I've heard that.
Okay, so I keep seeing this pop up, and that's fucking rad, right? Mm-hmm. But it goes one step further.
Okay.
What if I told you that those two movies, so Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, actually connects to not just Aliens, but another sci-fi franchise?
I wouldn't be surprised, because obviously Aliens connects with Predator. So you could arguably say that you're bringing in Predator into that mix, which, I mean, honestly would make sense.
Okay, so that is not it.
I didn't figure it would be it. It just got me thinking of like, because you have one of the famous scenes by Roy Bettany where he's talking about the war scene off of Orion's Belt, and it's like, oh, that could be like humans actually fighting predators. That'd be awesome.
You're actually very close.
About the war.
Yep.
I'm trying to like dust things off in the memory space here and trying to remember if there's anything else, because obviously I've heard okay, so if I had to guess as well, it wouldn't be anything that would be not Ridley Scott's property, because obviously the Predator movies are not Ridley Scott. They're just 20th Century Fox. So what else has he done besides? Am I at least close with that? It's a Ridley Scott property?
No.
Oh, well, then I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and guess. I could be sitting here for days on end just trying to like dust things off and guess things and this and that. It could be another Philip K. Dick novel for all I know. It could be, this is just another world of Man in the High Castle.
It's just weirdly linked, yeah. So, let me pull it up here. Let me get everything ready to go. Let's see. Let's get this all set here. Let's not do that. There we go. There we go. All right. So, in a weird way, like I said, you're on track and thinking certain things, and you're very close with another because of the connection. So, weirdly enough, the other movie slash franchise, which really is just, I think, just one, but the movie that's also connected is Kurt Russell's 1998 sci-fi
God.
action film
Universal Soldier?
Soldier, not Universal Soldier.
Soldier?
So in the movie, so people argue that like there's like these two weird camps that believe that like are adamant that Blade Runner and Alien are, and there's a group that say that it is not connected, like the same universe. Even though Ridley Scott has said in the making of director's stuff, like commentary, that he believes those two worlds are, or those two franchises are in the same universe.
I mean, I could definitely see it because, as far as I'm aware, especially when you eliminate the Alien versus Predator stuff, which everyone should, none. Well, I shouldn't say none. Alien 2 does take place on Earth at the beginning, but you don't see what Earth looks like.
Yeah.
So it could definitely be like the cyberpunk hellscape that you see in Blade Runner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the two camps are this. One camp believes that the way, again, there's two that believe in like there's like these people want to believe that there's shared universes. Then there's people who are like, no, it can't be because it doesn't make any sense. And then there's this other group that's like, oh, they don't, right? But there's like there's the one group is like, no, because people are saying that they share like aesthetics, and I'm like, that's because they're made by the same company and like they're just reusing sets and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm talking about actual factual things, including real Easter eggs. Mm-hmm. So much so that it goes into a video game that has an Easter egg.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So much like we had Easter eggs from the Alien Isolation video game in Romulus, mm-hmm. right? Which we didn't get a chance to talk about because Taj was on last week.
Yeah.
But apparently, like, Fede Alvarez is like a massive fan of that game.
Good. It's a great game.
Yeah. So what happens is, if for the folks who haven't played Alien Isolation, there's it's not an on tracks like linear game. You kind of move around this like openness area. It's not an open world because you're not on a world. You're on a space station or on a ship, a very large ship, and so you're moving around. And the way you save is by connecting to the phones.
Yeah, you have to like click into it. And
yeah.
Then, yeah.
So if you pay attention, that's the phones they have on Romulus.
I did not pay attention to that detail.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
When they go over to interact, and then Andy has to like interact with the finger hole thing, right?
Uh-huh.
You'll see them. You'll see the phones, and there's a point where the characters, and Fede pointed this out on like a interview he's doing, where there's a part where they're literally trying to get a save point, and you can mm-hmm. see the phone right mm-hmm. by them.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the kind of detail that Fede put into Romulus, right? But listen to this shit.
Okay.
So we're gonna get to the soldier thing in a minute, because that is it's not even loosely, it is a direct connection.
Okay.
All right. So, and you nailed it when you were talking about it. You just didn't know it.
Yeah.
So I'll get to there. So there's many things that connect, other than really saying, hey, I believe they're in the same universe, right? And he obviously directed both sets of films, the Blade Runner and then Alien. So the direct connections are this, besides him. In on-screen Easter egg on Tom Skerritt's character, when they're showing his bio, he literally used to work for the Tyrell Corporation.
Oh, nice.
The Tyrell Corporation, for the folks who don't know, are the people who make the simulants mm-hmm. in Blade Runner. And people are like, "Oh, those are two different things." They are, because Tyrell and Weyland Utani are competitors. One believes that the future of this type of technology is robotic, which is the androids you have in the Alien franchise. But Tyrell thinks the future is simulants, which are bioorganic humans. They can just be enhanced to be stronger, faster, things like that, right? So here's where Soldier comes in. What is the battle that Beatty talks about?
It's the war off Orion's belt.
Which is the Orion battle, right?
Yeah.
In the bio for Todd's combat records, he has a battle, and he is known as a soldier of Orion battle. Yes. And so Beatty talks about that battle, the battle of Orion, right? Which is Orion's belt, blah blah blah. And what happens with simulants? So simulants have a 6-year lifespan, right? Well, supposed to have a 6-year lifespan, right? Obviously, we find out later on they don't, because they've been around for longer. Beatty is a combat simulant. Todd, who is Kurt Russell's character, is a version that lasted longer than 6 years, was a failed version, and so he was isolated on this planet, which is the story of Soldier, right? So Beatty refers to basically being like forgotten, but he didn't get abandoned because he wasn't active at the time. He was already pulled out of service because of his 6-year lifespan, where Todd was abandoned because he was actually in combat when his 6 years was up.
Damn.
And then so once they found out that he didn't die on this isolated planet because they didn't realize that there's refugees still living there, they sent the younger, better version of him to eliminate him because they don't want those secrets falling in.
Right.
I was like, that's fucking wild.
That is cool.
So then I was looking at different things because there's all these different like connections of like between Alien and Blade Runner. So not only was it listed that Tom Skerritt's character worked for the Tyrell Corporation, right? But Weyland Utani in his speech was talking about his mentor who lived in a pyramid building overlooking the City of Angels.
And that's literally what the building looks like for the Tyrell Corporation.
Yeah. And then in Blade Runner 2049, the sequel, when you're in the actual Tyrell Corporation, they're going to go meet with Jared Leto's character, right? Like they're doing that. And they walk in, you see the cubes that have the different simulants in them. One of them is an engineer.
Really?
Yeah.
How did I not notice that?
Yeah. Crazy, right? So then, bro, it's crazier than that too, right? In Soldier, there's a decommissioned Blade Runner car, the spinner.
Okay.
On the planet, when he goes to the refugees, you can see a decommissioned spinner on the surface of the planet, which means that technology's there.
Yeah.
Which is, I was like, bro, how the shit, dude? How the fuck is that even? That's wild. That's connected, right? So then, like, all right, cool. That's cool there. So, obviously there's a big thing, but then the connection to the video game Isolation, in one of the areas you go to that's like, I didn't know this, I had to get a screenshot, and then there was a video corroborating it because people were like, oh, that could be faked. In one of the rooms you go to that had the at the time survivors in it, like the living quarters that you take refuge in, there's the origami crane. Well, no, it's not just that, but it's the unicorn is on one of the tables.
I believe I do remember hearing about that and seeing that. Yeah.
So you can see it, and there's video and photo proof of it. So that links. I mean, obviously, it's origami everywhere, right? But like, it's an actual real life Easter egg in the video game that not only ties it to the
Blade Runner.
but like the larger history of Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
That means there could have been a simulant on isolation or in isolation. But because they essentially have our bioorganisms and they have blood and they have all that stuff, you would almost not be able to tell.
Yeah.
And then I guess there's some guy was talking about lore, and one of the reasons that you're like, oh, is it, why wouldn't they ever tell, right? Like obviously because they, when you split them open, they look like us, but like there will be barcodes and stuff on their organs for, you know, whenever we know that, right? But he's like, and the aliens can probably tell they're not real, like the xenomorphs. So they may, like a facehugger may never actually attack one because it doesn't have reproductive organs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so maybe so it would never have the DNA, like because simulants don't have a standard DNA structure as far as we know.
So it might not be compatible with it to be able to create the ingested. Yeah.
Yeah. So a facehugger may jump onto it because it has a heat signature still, and obviously it moves and makes sounds, but it may not actually be able to produce a xenomorph from it because it doesn't have the proper reproductive DNA. But we don't know because we've never gone that far. Right? So, but like if you go, then this person was pointing out that if we go by the logics of Blade Runner 2049, they technically can reproduce because in that they talk about replicants being able to reproduce.
And that was kind of the point of the movie.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, the alien on the main alien on isolation, the reason it's slightly bigger and a little faster and more deadly, because it might actually be a xenomorph born from a replicant.
Wow.
Because it's if it can produce, if they can reproduce, which means they have the proper like organ and like structural DNA, right? It would then take the enhanced body chemistry and be able to produce an even more ridiculously powerful xenomorph.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a whole bigger step forward than just having a fucking origami unicorn in there. I was like, what the hell, dude?
Right?
That's wild.
It is.
What a weird extrapolation that like someone really had to like dive into.
Right?
Because they mentioned in Alien Isolation that this xenomorph is somehow is faster, stronger, deadlier, and bigger than other ones in history. They talk about it in the game, and I was like, wait, hold on, what? That's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so crazy to think that like not only is Alien and Blade Runner shared universe, right? Because characters interact with other ones, right? But then you bring in Soldier, which is crazy enough. And then you bring in the fact that there's a simulant xenomorph, which in all aspects could be real because simulants have all the same biological makeup other than being synthetic to humans.
Which would add an interesting other twist to it because weapons weren't really effective against the alien in isolation. Like you do end up with a revolver at one point, but like you try and shoot the alien and all you get is an achievement that says that basically like ha ineffective or something like that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
just like normal conventional weapons don't work against simulants because they don't have the same failure of a human body. So you shoot them, their muscles repair themselves or staunch bleeding at that point. So they don't take the same physical damage. They don't have the same physical pain receptors as humans. Unless it's turned on for whatever reasons, right? Like that's the thing. So I was like, that's bonkers. That technically Alien Isolation is the first actual bridge between those two things. And no one really knows it.
Yeah.
Except for some random dude that made a fucking video on YouTube about it. And that I was like, Bro, what?
right?
That's wild to me. I
That's
was
really
like,
cool.
dang. Like, and there's so many other things, like, in the, like, the Blade Runner alien linking that's just beyond just, like, the. And people are like, oh, it can't be. I'm like, no, it's, like, literally, like, actual, real Easter eggs in those movies that are connecting the two. Not just those movies. Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 have direct connections with wording and like verbiage and characters interacting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Wayland Utani's mentor was Tyrell,
Mm-hmm.
and Tyrell is the creator of simulants, and Wayland Utani talks about how like that's the past and robotics are the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, because like the other thing obviously that's the difference is like replicants are not made to know that they're replicants. They're supposed to think they're human. Where the androids from Alien are self-aware that they are who they are.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's crazy.
But it also ties into the fact of like what we get in like there was always Wayland Yutani wanted the alien for some specific reason. It always was hinted in the early movies. It was always hinted at that it was for basically bioweapons. Even when you get into Covenant, they're heavily insinuated to be bioweapons from the engineers that were supposed to be sent to kill off humanity and whatnot. But then you get the hint that, and it's not so much of a hint; it's actually pretty overtly explained in Romulus that no, it's what they're trying to do is create the better human. So it does kind of tie into that, like, okay, maybe Wayland at one point is like, no, robotics are the better choice, but in reality, he's come to the conclusion that you can only go so far with it. But manipulating human DNA, because obviously one of the main things that they're showing off in Romulus is it's a mining colony, but
Yep.
people die because of diseases and shit that's there, and probably because of what they're mining as well. So if you could create the better being, if you had something, alien goo or the alien xenomorph, that you can figure out how they you know basically ingest and become fully grown within hours.
Yeah, if not minutes.
Take on if not minutes exactly. Take on the aspects of the host, which could make them, you know, you could have a planet then that you just take some DNA of a creature from that planet that's adapted to it, and just use the goo and inject it into a human, and create a human person that now can work on that planet,
Survive
and
its
have
elements.
just workers viable to work on that planet within days. You know, so it does tie into that whole idea of being able to manufacture humans for a corporate purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that there in the there's a deleted scene, as well as in the novelization for I think it's Covenant. I think that
I've read that one.
literally tells us why the engineers are doing what the engineers are doing. It's not because it's a bioweapon.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
trying to recreate or trying to link back to what they believe is a god,
Mm-hmm.
which is called Deacon,
Mm-hmm.
which is a xenomorph, essentially a xenomorph hybrid, like but like of an engineer, like way back in the past. And they feel that they've been forsaken by this god, and so they're trying to reconnect to it by basically spreading his word, which is the black goo.
And which was another interesting thing. Was it explained in Romulus? I don't remember where I saw the explanation or whatnot, but because if you go back to Covenant, you have, was it Covenant? Yeah, it was Covenant. You have the designs on the walls of the engineer ships.
Yeah.
that house the goo canisters, and it is a xenomorph.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it is. How would you have the idea of what that thing would look like if you don't have that? You know, if the whole point is to basically, you know, inject it into a, you know, well, inject it or somehow get it into a person and then create that cycle that creates that. So how do you already have the idea of what it looks like? You must have known
Yep.
at some point in time in the past what it would have looked like. And so, yeah, your goal is trying to get. That was always like something that people considered a plot hole, but there actually was an explanation to it. Yeah,
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, so like it's just there's so many different weird connections, or not even weird. Like there's so many connections that are like, if you didn't really pay attention, like if you didn't read the on-screen text for Tom Skerritt's character, you wouldn't have seen that he was worked for the Tyrell Corporation. You know, and it's like crazy, dude. And like people are like, oh, the timelines don't line up. I'm like, no, dude. Like if you think about it, Weyland-Yutani, the character of Weyland-Yutani isn't in the first set of Alien franchise movies.
no,
He's
it's not.
dead and gone by then.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look at the timing, in 2019 is when Blade Runner takes place. He would have been alive at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, because Alien takes place in 2122, where Blade Runner takes place in 2019. Obviously, that's over 100 years.
Yeah.
But it's in Covenant. Was it Covenant or was it? Yeah, Covenant. When old man Weyland-Yutani was murdered by the thing.
Yeah, it was Covenant because then Prometheus is about David's exploration
Yeah.
into
When you
yeah.
find out that David was actually working for Weyland-Yutani, trying to get him to, you know, obviously prolong his life and everything like that. So, but
Yeah.
you see, like the fact that he's using the isolation pods, the freezing pods, to prolong his life, even though he's super old.
Which is another connection right there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So I was like, oh shit, that's fucking even cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's very very awesome to see how much that's connected, in the fact that like there's actual real use of Easter eggs to connect these multiple worlds to a bigger, more rich universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's pretty rad.
That is pretty rad. Yeah,
So
I really like that.
I was like, that's cool. I mean, I don't really like the movie Soldier too much because I think it's kind of bland and blah. But
I mean, it's a product of its time.
Yeah,
it's a
for
fun
sure.
movie to watch once and then just be done with it.
yeah,
You know.
so I was like, oh, what happened? Like, and then the fact that like that dude wholeheartedly believes that the alien from Isolation is a product of a simulant being essentially the gestation pod for the xenomorph fucking blew my mind. I was
The
like,
interesting thing about that would be, there is no, as far as I'm aware, there's no explanation of like what the original host, who the original host was in Isolation. Like you don't run across it as far as I'm aware or anything.
yeah. And because at that point, like as we know, most of that when they do those, they usually put them in the little the fucking little wall hanger thingies for them to gestate the xenomorphs outside of the you know, just like, oh, just chill here and wait till it pops out. They'll make those little cocoons to put them in, you know what I mean? Like you see.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it just could be one of those random ones that is just that you run into, you know?
It definitely could have been because, like, it's obviously early in the game, it's heavily insinuated that this is the only one, and then you get late stage of the game, and there's a scene where it's a revelation of like, oh, no, this wasn't the only one we've been dealing with. This whole time.
This is the only one we are dealing with now, but
There are more.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know, which was another, obviously, if you don't know this, Joe, is another direct, almost Easter egg, but reference from spoiler alert, from Romulus to Isolation, because in Romulus we think we're dealing with that one that comes out of Navarro, but then we found out later that there's other ones that have just been cold chilling there in those little fucking I don't even know. I guess they're cocoons, whatever they put the human hosts in, and then you come out. They come down that thing, and like Andy and them, and they're like, "Oh wait, this hallway looks real creepy." And they're like, "Where's Kay at?" And they're like, "There she is." And you see all the empty ones, and there's a revelation of all those other xenomorphs that are there, and you're like, "Oh shit!" Like that's right. There was a lot of face huggers, and a lot of dead bodies that have like a hole in their chests. Uh-oh.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Someone fucked up somewhere on this. Like they're like, hey, we know we have this documentary called Jurassic Park. We could do that better with aliens. And then they also fucked it up because they didn't realize that they don't know how to contain this motherfuckers. And we find out
finds a way.
Yeah, you know, like because as we find out in the movie, again, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen Romulus, go fuck yourselves. Romulus is only half of the space station. Remus is the other half. And by the time they get to Remus, they're like, oh, hey, Romulus is fucked because there's those face humpers that are just trying to fucking do things to us. We're going to go to the other side of the space station where our wrecked ship's at. Maybe it's safer over there. And they go over there, and it's way more a fucking nightmare because it's been overrun by xenomorphs, which are a whole lot worse than face huggers. Like, face huggers, terrible death, just a horrible experience, and all of a sudden you think you're fine, and all of a sudden, like, your insides become your outsides, and an alien comes out of you. That's pretty horrific. But if you're hung up on a wall and treated like a fucking incubator by these things and just, like, literally waiting to just hatch out another brother, and that just whole place looked like a hellscape compared. I'm like, oh, Romulus is a fucking dream compared to Remus. Remus is a literal fucking nightmare.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, y'all, you should go the other way. Like,
there's a whole different, like, universe where if they would have played things right, they would have never have known about the other side of that.
Yeah. And what's crazy about it is the planet, like the mining planet, would have never known because the space station was eventually going to fall into the asteroid belt and be obliterated, which means anything on it probably would have been fucking obliterated as well.
Too, yeah.
You know, and it's less likely that something would have survived that annihilation of being pelted by debris over, like cheese grated essentially in space, versus, you know, potentially now, like, fucking what is his name? Rook, right? What's his name? The android that was on there. He literally wanted her to bring the fucking goo down to the fucking the world to basically start what happened on Romulus and Remus down on a very highly populated, condensely populated place where, like, we know the alien would thrive on because they don't have the failings of our biological makeup. They don't need oxygen, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. They don't need, essentially they would have a very unlimited food supply for a while of all the humans down there. You know, I'm like, oh, that's bad. And then, like, in a way, other than the fact that, like, you know, they jettisoned off in the little ship, and then the space station did get destroyed in the belt. But it's like, dang, that would have been wild if they're like, nah, like, especially if Andy didn't, like, say what he was doing. If he would have just kept it to himself and said, hey, yeah, we can get out of here, and he secretly got the black goo and got it off, they got it out there and didn't know the whole thing didn't happen, where they you know, like, he got, like, he's like, oh no, this is what the prime directive is. If he was a little bit smarter, maybe, like, I don't know, maybe like a simulant, he'd been like, nah, that goes in the back pocket. Yeah, we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like the weird connections and the fact that, like, Fede Alvarez linked so much of Alien Isolation, which obviously is like somewhere in the canon of the Alien world or Alien universe.
It would have to be relatively just after the first one, but before the second one, because
Yeah,
the main character of Isolation is Amanda Ripley, so is Ripley's daughter, and the second one takes place, I want to say 100 years after the first one.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if they give us
Because by that point in time they make reference that Amanda's daughter or Ripley's daughter has grown up and died. Like they show old man Amanda, old woman Amanda. Alien timeline.
Amanda investigates the disappearance of her mother, Ellen. I'm trying to see with the time. Is there a time frame when this actually happens? Like in canon wise, what year they put it? Because we know that Romulus takes place a few years after Alien. Because it takes place with Alien Aliens, because they go to the Nostromo, and that's where they get the xenomorph that's encased in the little fucking space rock, which is again just a weird link to like, or a weird reference to like Jurassic Park, because they have a fucking like a rock they have to cut into to get the DNA out of, and then they find out that hey, this thing's not only like DNA heavy, the bitch is alive in here.
Right.
And we done did the thing with the mosquito, but we don't need frog DNA to fuck us up. We just have a perfect killing machine and evolutionary thing fucking going ham on it. Oh, here we go.
This is pretty cool. That website I ran across, alienanthology.fandom.com, it like includes stuff that I've never even heard of, like short films. So I don't know if they're like, I think I recognize a couple of them, because the first ones that they list here are, I believe, like teasers for Covenant, because it shows TED 2023. It's Peter Whalen Files TED Conference 2023. I believe that was a teaser for Covenant, including this other one, Peter Whalen Files Happy Birthday David. Those were released in 2012, but their canonical Alien Universe release dates are 2023 and 2079. Fast forwarding all the way to, which is cool, it actually includes books and comics as well in this.
Hell yeah, dude. Someone did their fucking research.
Yeah, and there's shit here like Alien Specimen. It says it's a short film released in 2019, but I guess it has an unknown Alien Universe date. But Isolation is 2137.
Yeah, I just found that on here.
Which means if there's Alien, which is 2122. Demon Harvest.
2142 is when Romulus happens. So Romulus is 5 years after Isolation.
Oh yeah, there it is. It has a bit of a question mark next to it, but yeah.
Well,
this shows the comic. Sorry, this shows a comic, not the movie. There's the movie. Yeah, 2142.
Yeah. Because it says here in 2142, Weyland Yutani space probe investigates the wreckage of the USCSS Nostromo, which was destroyed 2 decades prior, which obviously is like that's jumping to Alien. The probe collects a large cocoon and departs for a secret research space station. Upon arrival, masked scientists open the cocoon, blah blah blah, revealing the xenomorph, a la the reference to Jurassic Park. And then we find out later that the space station it goes to, the secret research space station, is the 2 halves of the Romulus and Remus space station that the movie takes place on. And we find out that 1 half was the farming of the facehuggers, and then the other half was the research and development of the black goo from the xenomorph. And then obviously that didn't go so well, and the xenomorphs have taken over and made the Remus half their nightmare hellscape that is very reminiscent of Aliens, which I saw an article talking about how like Alien Romulus does such a good job of going from alien to aliens in the same movie, which blew my mind because it really does. And it's like a pretty cool thought process, but also like in this little same thing, the guy's like, and ties in isolation because they're isolated on the space station. And I was like, damn, Fede Alvarez, real smart. That boy,
Right.
that boy, real clever because he literally bridges Alien and Aliens by literally bridging Alien and Aliens in the same concept. And I was like, dang. Because what happens? This is crazy. This is what I was talking about last week. Besides the human actor that played the fucking Offspring, which blew my mind. That was a human being because that's disgusting. Alien, right? So they find the ship. Facehugger comes out, gets on dude, creates a xenomorph. They're isolated on their ship with a single alien, right? Alien.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, right? On Romulus, on the Romulus half, they are attacked by a facehugger. A single xenomorph, right? Attacks them. By the time they get to Remus, which is the sequel to the space station, right?
Yeah.
There's multiple aliens and becomes more of an action movie.
It really does.
And I was like, wait, hold on, what? And in between the two, of Alien and Aliens, they are isolated and being hunted down. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Fede, you are, like, so smart. Like, why are you this smart? Like, you shouldn't be this smart. Like, you know, like, I'm glad you are, but it's like, dang. Like, you did such a good job because, like, you literally made a in-between movie, like a pre-sequel, right? Like, we made this joke, right? That's literally, like, paying homage in the coolest way to not only the video game you love so much, right? Which is obviously a direct connection to Alien and Aliens because it's her daughter investigating the flight recordings, which lead her to a space station, which obviously is not, or the ship that's not the Nostromo, but also like not a great place to be in general, because like it's, you know, it's got a crazy alien on it. But then he makes this movie, which literally is a space station that's two space stations that are connected to each other, that are connecting the first movie and the second movie. And I was like, dang, man. That's so cool.
It is cool. It's the type of thing that he's the type of person then that you like having the you know, his hands on this franchise.
Yeah. It's
because he actually likes it. He enjoys it and he knows it.
I was like, that's like some fucking like dual lobe thinking, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gotta be in there to be thinking about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
What was the name? I'm trying to remember the name of the fucking where she goes on Alien Isolation.
Oh, the name of the ship?
Yeah.
Well, I could probably pull it up right here. It's where is it? Alien Isolation. Click again because it didn't click the first time. Sevastopol. That's what it was.
Okay.
Sevastopol Station. She gets, if I recall right, she gets hired to go there
by
technician Amanda Ripley is approached by Weyland-Yutani executive Christopher Samuels, who informs her that a flight recorder of the Nostromo was recently located and is being held aboard Sevastopol Station, a remote Freeport station owned by Seegson Corporation, in orbit around the gas giant KG 348. So he offers Amanda a place on the Weyland-Yutani team sent to retrieve it, so that she can get closure regarding the fate of her missing mother. Okay. So she wasn't hired, but she was approached, yeah.
Which begs the
hilarity
deal.
Ensues.
Yeah, like, yeah, hilarity ensues. Which begs the thing that's saying, like, you know, like, there's a lot of families that seem cursed.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think being a Ripley is a great thing.
No, not in this world.
Because, like, Ellen she falls for it twice, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the first time, not her fault. She's happens to be on the ship. They happen to find that the wreckage on the asteroid, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just bad luck. But like that's just your bloodline's cursed because like somehow your daughter who is already born, obviously like on Earth or actually wherever, I don't even know if they specify she was on Earth or not, but wherever she was at, somehow gets that curse through osmosis into her blood because she then wants closure, which you think you'd want, right? Like you don't know what happened to your mom because like you think she's dead, but like then they find out later that hundreds of years or 100 years later she's not. uh, but then like then Ellen finds out like she's like, oh, I'm gonna go like I got hired to go in Aliens to go experience what's going on because I'm like the only survivor really of like the first encounter that we know
Right.
of this alien or this this thing, and then in between that, little do you know that your daughter went on a fucking got like basically sent out on the same kind of thing to get closure about your mysterious death or whatever missing, and she is literally hunted down by a xenomorph, and I was like, damn, that's some bad lineage.
Right.
And then later, crazy enough, you get cloned,
Oh my
and
God.
then
Right.
you are like the birth mother of like a fucking horrific monster that wants to hunt down like everything like and kill everything around. It's like dang, like that's just you couldn't even die a Terminator death and not be brought back by this fucking terrible corporation and bring your lineage down even further. You know what I mean? Like dang, that's a
And
cursed ass
speaking of
bloodline.
lineage, that like it's a whole thing where it dawns on me they don't even like mention like husband, lover, anything in those movies
Oh yeah,
of
because
hers.
who's her
I mean,
dad?
obviously, yeah, Amanda has to have a well, I mean, I guess doesn't have to have a dad in this world, but uh, assumedly would, you know. But
Dang, that's
actually, you Google it and there's a Wikipedia. It lists Ellen Ripley as having a first spouse, Alex, who's dead, and a second spouse, Paul Carter, who's dead.
dang nobody survives around her, huh?
Yeah. So, like, what is the story there? Is that just life, or is there some other Wayland Utani, you know, shenanigans?
Man, that's wild.
Right?
So it might not even be a Ripley bloodline curse. It could be whatever spawned her too. Because like Jesus, dude.
I like how Wikipedia has links to those characters. Like I click on it and it's like I'm going to learn a little bit more about it, and it just takes me to a brief synopsis of the Alien franchise.
So did
Thanks,
she?
Wikipedia.
I wonder if like. So I wonder if they show up any books. If there's any
And that's what
books
I
that
was
run.
wondering. Like, there are so many books. Like, this Alien Universe Timeline website shows so many different content. I've read some of it. I like this because I was actually reading some of these in order. So I've read uh, Alien Covenant Origins, and then the next one was you have the movies. I think there were movie book adaptations, and so there were some of these. Like there was a Covenant adaptation that I read as well. So I've been trying to a while ago read some of these in order. So there definitely could be, in especially in a book adaptation of the movie, they could definitely hint at her previous life and talking about setting up the character of Ellen Ripley.
Hey, did you know there's a animated digital series for Alien Isolation?
I believe so. Yes.
I did not know that. I need to find that and watch that. That's cool. Yeah, I was looking at this like list of stuff, like appearances, and apparently there's a deleted scene in The Predator with Ellen Ripley.
In The Predator?
Yeah, The Predator.
As in
The one by Shane Black?
Birds?
No,
Oh,
that's
Shane Black.
Prey.
That's Prey. Sorry, yeah.
The
Yeah.
Predator was the
Was
almost
the last one before that?
yeah,
wasn't
almost
it?
good until the very last like 20 minutes of the movie.
Oh my god! I just suddenly had flashbacks to the pod of like armoring up a person with predator armor.
So bad. It's so bad.
Yes. Good God, that was a wow. All right.
So I need to see if I can find that to see what that's about because apparently she's referenced or shown in that.
I think I do remember hearing that there was there was supposed to be a reference to her, but at that point in time, it would have been like a great, what would that be, ancestor of hers, I think. Yeah, because that took place in the more now times.
Well, it'd be modern day for us, but obviously like way past for them.
Yeah.
Because that technically, well, I mean, I guess actually, hold on. What year technically in timeline does that actually fall into? What year does that happen in there? Is it modern time? Is that going to be in 2018? Is that when that actually took place in that movie? Do we know?
I don't know. That's a question for a person nerdier than me.
Because think about that. If that's true, a year later, Earth should look like it does in Blade Runner.
That's right. I didn't even think about that.
Because it's 2019. So, like, the world goes to shit as soon as The Predator ends. Like, real bad.
Real bad, real fast. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
So, I'm just saying, that's just not
another
great.
reason that you can ignore those movies.
Yeah. But yeah, then it says, appears in a bunch of comics, and then it has novels, and there's a few in here I don't think I've ever seen, but one is from 1992 called Earth Hive.
Oh, yeah.
And because this is, I'm looking at the Ellen Ripley, so these are her appearances, so apparently she appears or is probably mentioned at one point in these movies. But there's another one called The Female War.
The Female War? That I don't know.
Yeah, and it's so much so it has its own goddamn Wikipedia page. There's not a lot on it. It just talks about like the book itself. But Aliens: The Female War is the title of a sci-fi novel by Steve and Stephanie Perry, set in the fictional Alien universe, movie universe, and adapted in the comic book. Adapted from a comic book story, Earth War. It is a conclusion of the series, also including Aliens, Earth Hive, and Nightmare Asylum. So it's like part of a trilogy, but it's also like a adapted from something that happens in Earth War. So that's even more so. So she's obviously mentioned somehow in that. Which, I mean, really any of these are going to mention Ellen Ripley somehow because she's kind of like the tipping point for like a lot of that stuff that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's books.
I forgot about the Audible audio dramas.
Yeah.
I've actually gone through 3 of the 4 of them. Alien Out of the Shadows, Alien River of Pain, Sea of Sorrows, and the final one is Alien 3. They're really good audio dramas. I don't think they're very long, too, so if you have time to listen to them, they're pretty good.
Yes, I mean, that's just...
It doesn't show on here. Oddly, it lists 352 pages, but I thought it was just an audio drama.
There it is. That's what I was looking for. So, in Amanda Ripley, do they tell us who her dad, which husband is her dad? Amanda Ripley McLaren. She has it. Well, is that her married name though? Hyphen. She has a hyphen last name.
Yeah, which would be her married name.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out where this cursed bloodline comes from. Is it
Which again could mean that she's actually got kids too.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, it just, how far does this bloodline curse go?
That's why I was waiting for like one of the main character to mention that, her. It always seemed like she had was under a false name or something like that. So I was waiting for them to be like, my name's actually blah blah blah, and you're like, she's a Ripley.
She's a Ripley. This is terrifying.
This is terrifying for the aliens. They're all gonna die. She's just like, my great grandmother was Ellen Ripley, and they're like, oh fuck.
Oh shit, we done fucked up.
We done fucked up.
So Paul Carter, he has a last name. So who's Alex though?
Yeah, didn't have a last name, and when you click on it on Wikipedia, it doesn't take you anywhere except for a list of when other people have shown up. Which I already searched the page for the name Alex, and the Alexander shows up, but nothing that indicated, at least from what I saw, just Alex. Like where, because that page takes you to like where's a lot of the cast has shown up in some of the properties, but Alex isn't mentioned anywhere.
Interesting. So who is the father of Amanda? We need answers.
We need answers. We need somebody to start just write it.
Not listed on there at all. So we have two potential daddies. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they were married doesn't mean that that's from a marriage.
Yeah.
And neither of them have the last name Ripley. Well, we don't know what Alex's last name is because he's not listed with the last name.
Which is another good point. Is Ripley her actual maiden name, or is it someone else's name? Is it Alex Ripley? Yeah. See, we need answers. We need someone to go through and give us these answers that we need. I need closure, and I'm not going to go to a space station that has a fucking audio recording from the last days of a spaceship that may have it. That's someone else's business. Because I'm not diving into the fucking blood curse that is the Ripley name. Right.
Or bloodline. Man, that's so wild.
Right.
Craziness, I'm telling you. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Crazy indeed.
All right, well, that's cool and all. So I thought that was a fun little thing to talk about, and it got us down
It's a totally fun thing. I love the Alien universe, you know that.
Yeah, and it ties into another, at least one great other sci-fi franchise, and then Soldier.
Right.
But that was the stuff I was talking about, like last week, and I was like, "There's stuff I want to talk about because I keep finding more and more stuff about Romulus, but also like the bigger world, and like it just spills over more and more every time." I'm like, "Dang, dude."
If there's ever going to be a reason to like maybe buy this on physical media, would be for director's commentary.
That's what I'm talking. Like it boggles my mind. Like my brain went there too. I was like, "Oh, I wonder what's going to be on that fucking Blu-ray when it comes out."
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that pisses me off about streaming services.
They completely ignore shit like that.
Yeah, dude, you don't get stuff. Like, you go and they have a section where it's like extras. You go, and it's just a fucking trailer. I'm like, dude, what about all this fucking content that is on
behind the scenes, the making of.
Like, where does that go?
Back in the day when you used to get like, oh, this is how the alien was made, and it'd show you like the designs and then the first crafting of the costumes and stuff like that, and you could see like how the CG was done and this and that.
Yeah, man, like
all the modeling and everything, and then you talk about this is what made it into the film. This is kind of like maybe some things that we couldn't make into the film. Early drafts of scripts and stuff. Yeah, that's something that is vastly missing from digital purchases.
Yeah, dude, like iTunes
or even just like renting something. Like you can't rent something and get extras to go along with it that you would if you rented the Blu-ray, even I was going to say Blockbuster, but like there are Redbox.
Not really. Those are going away too.
Is there any physical renting
Not really.
around us?
Not really.
Yeah. Huh.
It's because physical media has dropped off so much, you know. No, I don't think so. I think they got rid of their rental. So
so unless you physically went and bought it somewhere,
which right now is like your best bet is like Amazon, because like most stores don't really carry them. Like even all places of Walmart where old media goes to die, they don't even have like a robust section anymore, and it's
they may have
vastly
like
empty.
release stuff, and then after a month or so, not carry that stuff anymore.
Yeah, they'll do like, it's funny too, because like when you go and look at Walmart or even Target, the stuff they have for Blu-ray, which on Target's actually even less than nothing almost, but like Walmart, they just have re-releases of like different collectors boxes, but there's like very little of anything. There's not like let me go through and see what movie I can find here. It's like the one place you can go to get that stuff is at Barnes & Noble that hasn't got rid of their media section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And it's like,
then, it seems more expensive to buy.
It's
Barnes & Noble. I don't know why.
Fuck yeah, it is, dude. It's wild. It's like, are these all imported from like a different decade? Because why are they so fucking expensive?
Pretty much.
Do I have to pay for like the fuel for DeLorean to go back in time and get them? Like, what the fuck is this, dude? Like, why are these so expensive? I remember we were looking at one time, like we were there. Paige and I were at Barnes & Noble, and I looked at a Criterion DVD, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're gonna be like $30, right? Then I was like, oh, look at this, and it was like Iron Man 1 on Blu-ray, and it was like $42.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold on,
doubt it.
What? Why?
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I remember trying to, when back in the day when I was trying to find a good copy of Cowboy Bebop the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and you could find it on places like Amazon for relatively cheap, but going to buy it somewhere physical and not having to wait for it, the only place I remember at the time was Barnes & Noble, and it's like, yeah, it's like $30 or $40, and I'm like, no.
It should be like $12.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with you people? Yeah, it's wild. Like, it's just physical media. It's become like a collector's thing, unfortunately. And it's like, nah, like why? Like in this day and age, why don't we have that stuff? Like, because iTunes, I haven't bought a movie from iTunes or from Apple in a long time, but they used to get some deleted scenes and like director's commentary and stuff. But like, it's been so long, like I haven't bought anything from there.
I haven't physically. I say physically. I haven't literally bought a movie digital in a long time either. I usually wait for it to hit some streaming service before I buy it. But you're right. Like, I remember getting, I think it's like Captain America Winter Soldier or something like that, on digital, and it did come with a few extras.
Yeah, iTunes extras was a big thing. It's like, oh, this includes this, this, and this. You're like, oh, cool, that makes it worth it. And now it's like you get streaming services, and like Disney even has like a section, like when you go there, has extras, and it's like just like the 3 trailers on a teaser. I'm like, why the fuck isn't there anything else on this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to make a streaming service worth it? Give me extra content when it comes to these movies.
Which is funny too, because like watching Rings of Power right now, if you're caught up with it, literally after you're done watching that episode, it will start playing the behind the scenes of that episode right afterwards. So like even Amazon is set up to be like, yeah, we have extras for our shows.
Yeah, which I mean, it makes sense because they're obviously the production company behind it, so they have it.
But they have the ability, and I don't know if I've ever looked at if any movies that they have on there that have their any extras posted on there.
Let's pull up Prime Video real quick and see if there is anything on there. Nope, I am not a child. I mean, sort of. Let's go. So Jackpot, right? This is their probably the newest one they have on there, starring Awkwafina and John Cena. Mm-hmm. Let's see if there's anything extra. More details. So there's nothing. Has related, and it has cast and director. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing extra on here.
Something bigger though. Like I can maybe see that they're not being very much behind the scenes of a lesser known thing.
What about
pick something bigger.
Roadhouse?
Yeah, I could see Roadhouse having a behind the scenes. Yeah.
Ooh, look what we have here. Explore. Characters. Meet the characters. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then we have Inside Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
They're both like one's 2 minutes and one's 59 seconds. And that's about it. And there's an offer for tune in and takeout, which is an offer through Grubhub. So that's about it for extras.
At least it has some extras.
It has related and it has more details, but that's it. So that's some stuff. Let's see what else is on here. TV show wise. Well, if we do, well, Rings of Power. What does Rings of Power have?
It has at least the behind the scenes of the
Episode you're
of
watching.
each episode. I don't know if it has more.
Explore. Inside episode 1, 2, 3. Okay. Prepare for. There's character bios. Oh, a compendium. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Explore more Middle Earth stuff. That's games and stuff like that. More on Amazon. Darkness will bind them. Discover where all roads lead. That's it. Enter there. What does this do? Oh, it brings me to a crazy website that has a cool ass thing. Okay, we'll look at that. So there's some stuff on there that's at least, more stuff. And the behind the scenes thing is cool. I wonder if they do that. Do they do that for Reacher?
I don't know actually. I was gonna say I think they did, but now I don't actually know.
I know they didn't.
Recall.
They don't go to the next. Like they don't go. It's like, hey, making of Reacher after an episode.
Yeah. So there might not be then.
Reacher. Do not play it. Thank you. Explore. Inside Reacher episodes 1, 2, 3. So they're about 4-ish minutes long.
It's weird that they didn't throw to him afterwards.
Then it shows meet the characters. You got the good guys, which are obviously the special investigators, the cops. Reacher's rules. And then it leads you to books. Support veterans. And then shopping for stuff on Amazon. Which you would expect, because it's Amazon.
It's Amazon.
So there's some stuff. Yeah, it's just, I mean, obviously it's not like, there's not like a 2-hour
like
director's
long,
commentary,
yeah.
but that's because it's a television show. But that's kind of cool. They at least have that.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say to these people, streaming services, if you want to have people stick around on streaming services, give us extras on stuff. We know it's made because physical media comes with it, and it's digital already. So just throw it on the servers. Like, let us have it, because I ain't gonna buy that much physical media anymore.
No.
Like, I am so interested in seeing, because I've seen some of the stuff that Fede Alvarez has actually released on like his Instagram and stuff, of like behind the scenes making and stuff, and that's where I saw the footage of the guy who plays the Offspring.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't want any more of this, because that's disturbing. But I want more behind the scenes stuff. And I was like, obviously Fede has it.
Yeah.
So like, do I have to buy this fucking movie?
Probably.
Because that makes me upset. Because then I have to play it in something, which means I have to put a disc in the game console. Ugh.
That's really true. I was thinking to myself, the only movies that I would buy nowadays are like 3D movies, because I actually have the ability to support 3D movies.
Yeah.
But those are released few and far between. They're still weirdly released, because Dune was released in 3D, the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It was weird. It's weird. I almost bought it because I was prepping for Dune 2, but then the release dates all got
move on.
weird and fucked up with that.
Did I tell you about the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine has a special edit for IMAX 3D?
I think so.
Yeah, so we ended up seeing Deadpool and Wolverine in 3D because we waited to buy tickets, and it was like the only thing that had available tickets left, which would, don't get me wrong, was awesome still.
Yeah, it was fun.
And there was some 3D stuff, but like it wasn't really that like 3D.
Yeah.
But apparently there are, and it's not a different cut. There's not extra scenes. It's just the way they enhance certain scenes. Mm-hmm. So the part where like, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, which is probably nobody at this point, especially listens to this show. When Wolverine's about to have the fight, the face off between him and Sabretooth, and Deadpool is pulling all the swords and stuff out of him. There's a part where he pulls one of the swords and it actually leaves the screen and it goes above the screen line.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, dang, that's cool as hell, man.
Right.
I was like, okay, that sucks that I didn't get to see it in IMAX 3D, but
right.
Whatever. Stupid ass.
Closest IMAX being in Tempe.
Yeah, real IMAX. Like the rest of them are just fucking giant screens
IMAX
shoved
experience.
in fucking. Yeah.
This will be the last thing we really say, or at least I say. I love after that movie talking to people and they're like, "Yeah, I saw it at the IMAX," and it's like, you didn't see it at the IMAX. You saw it at an IMAX experience.
Yeah.
It's an experience. It's not the real. Did you go to Tempe? No. Then you didn't see it at the IMAX.
Did you drive all the way down to that dirt mall to see it in the fucking IMAX? No. You saw it at Deer Valley or some shit. Or a fucking Westgate in their fucking. We have IMAX. No, you have a giant ass screen shoved in a regular theater.
And it's not even the IMAX giant screen.
Yeah. It's just a giant screen.
It's just a bigger than normal screen, or you have better audio.
Yeah. Stupid.
Whatever.
Anywho, that'll be it for this week's episode of Comes Naturally. We have been
Joe.
I have been Cody, and as usual, you fuckers just came naturally.
Bye.
Bye.